Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 6 of the Save Canada channel. My name's Landon, and I'm here with you after I've had quite a bit of a break. I've been quite sick, coughing quite a bit, sniffling nose. It's cold season. It's been passing around. It came to me. I've been gone for like 2 weeks now, but I'm back. I'm making sure that I'm gonna continue going. Not gonna let any bit of sickness, because I'm still a bit sick, but who cares? It's good enough. You will be able to tell. There might be a little of chopping up of some of the footage to make up for if there's any bit of coughing or anything. Because I always record these at the night, and I don't know if it's just a me thing, but sickness always gets worse in the night, all the coughing and everything. But today on episode 6, we have quite the topic. In my time being gone, Carney is a Prime Minister Mark Carney has said quite a few interesting things. So there was news about the pipeline being developed, and then there was also the whole statement. He being asked about Trump and the tariffs and saying, "Oh, who cares?" You remember that? I don't remember how long ago that was. A few days ago, at least, maybe a week. Again, it's been quite a bit of time. Me being gone sick here, I've been missing on quite a bit, but it is what it is. Things happen in life, right? You always recover. You bounce back. So, who cares, right? He said, "Who cares about the Donald Trump situation, right?" I know a lot of people who care. There's a lot of reason to care, right? I'm a young person, right? So maybe I'm not the most impacted person in the world by jobs being threatened, but again, who cares? Lots of people care. There's lots of people out there. They have jobs who are at risk of being lost from the tariffs. There's people like I my own family, especially. They work in manufacturing industries that would be threatened by these tariffs. Who cares about it? He has nothing to speak about, apparently. Even though the tariffs are escalating, people are still losing jobs, companies' investment is fleeing the country, and the tariffs still create a reliance on, we're still reliant on the American economy, and these tariffs are just crippling us, right? You have the greatest unemployment rates in history among the youth. Was a food bank, the amount of food bank visits by like the average amount or something in the country. I believe it was a statistic. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I believe that it's gone up by a significant amount over the course of the years. It's like I believe it was at least 10% of the population visits food banks now. Feel free to fact check me. I don't have it here written in my notes, but it's it's a dire situation out there, right? And Mark Carney has the gall. He has the absolute gall. It's like, who cares about the whole tariff situation? Who cares about the worsening economy under liberal policies for a decade? Who cares about all of that, right? Who cares about the liberals? Who follows politics even? No one reads politics. You should just sit down and own nothing and be happy, right? 1984 George Orwell style. But here's why we should care, right? Because obviously, Canada and America, they have a very extensive history, right? You have like Kuzma, all of course we still share, although there's much different in how our governments operate. They operate on similar principles, right? Of like democratic freedoms, the everyone's equal, equality. Even if America may have historically not always been that way, we've also changed over time. As countries do, they evolve and they grow, and being neighbors, sharing a super long border, we've grown quite similar. And this is something that lots of people like to avoid, lots of Canadians. They like to say, "Oh, we're nothing like the US. Those people down there, they have it way worse than us. There's nothing similar at all." Canadians, like, they almost treat Americans as like a plague, right? Like, you don't want to be. Oh, they almost treat like Nazis. They don't want to be compared to those people, right? They're like, "Ew, don't sit like." You say, if you see someone talking about like the whole like Canadians and Americans, and they're like, "Oh, how does it feel being a Canadian right now?" And like in the situation of America and all that, I was like, "Don't compare us to Americans. Don't even talk about them." Like, it's like complete this irrational like phobia almost. Almost Trump derangement syndrome, or TDS as they call it. We love that. So everyone's just afraid to even be compared to the Americans. But I don't see it that way. I think America and Canada, they have very shared values. They've grown beside each other, obviously, for a very long time. We have very interconnected values, even recently in years. With the spiraling situation of liberal government, that's been kind of changing, especially with Donald Trump and the whole MAGA movement going on in America right now. Our countries are grown separate as we face like ongoing crises in the world. We face similar crises to them, but Canada and Americans have a very different way. It's one of their smaller, I guess, smaller, but greatly impacts things much differently. It's one of their greater differences is that Canadians are a lot more of a societal responsibility society. They believe in free healthcare, like caring for each other. They find paying more taxes to help out like their fellow man, rather than an American who is less taxes. Like, why should I be helping these people? They can't work. And I would subscribe to that idea more because as more and more immigrants come into the country, they take all of these benefits. They have phones paid for, they have houses paid for, food paid for by the government. Like, why am I working so this guy who just came into the country, this this poop G who just came into the country and is gonna live off welfare from the government? And there's a very little guarantee, especially if he came here with his family, that he's even gonna be a net like contributor to taxes. So why should I be funding this, right? So I feel like it's not just me. I'm a young person. There's a really grown sentiment on young people that I've talked to and that I relate to. A very grown sentiment of why should I be giving up this money to taxes for people who don't earn it? And it's not just immigrants either. There's plenty of people who don't earn it. You have the grown obesity epidemic, right? That goes it puts strain on our healthcare. There's a lot of things putting strain on our healthcare, but that's especially one of the things that's not pertaining to just immigrants, right? You have obesity epidemic, people getting fatter. Like the cost how it escalates to take care of fat patients compared to regular weight patients has even more strain on our healthcare system, which don't even get started on the healthcare system, bro. That stuff is awful. So, so again, going back to what the original topic was, Canada and America. Who cares about that, right? We're relying on America. Believe it's we absolutely certain we're relying on America, and I'll get back to the pipelines earlier that was mentioned because that's one of the great things to helping reduce this reliance. It would be pipelines, but let me get to that real quick. Our reliance on America, we're completely like our military size is like basically non-existent, right? We have like very little military. Um, I don't know if you notice behind me, I have some CAD Pat from the army. I'm currently resigning because I have a lot more vested interest in internal politics, as you could probably guess from this channel. And it's not exactly my thing, but I was in the artillery, right? We have like I've shot howitzers, I've shot guns, I've shot all of this, right? I'm not exactly. I wasn't in it long enough to know all of the ins and outs. I'm not gonna claim to be some expert or anything, but from what I've seen, like and what I've heard, the Canadian military, especially in the artillery, like we don't have nearly as advanced artillery guns, and any of the ones we have like maybe like 10 or less, right? All the ones with the advanced computers that you don't even need to like manually input or turn, or you have to calibrate all of them, calibrate the scopes, or the angles of the barrel, or anything like that. We don't have any of that. That's just one example of how we're behind militarily, how we're completely reliant on America for our military defense, right? And so we're relying on them for that. And historically, for like especially the past like 20th century and all that, we've been relying on them economically because they're biggest the biggest way of import to come in as they cross the border. Lots of border crossings. Although I believe this has been shrinking with the Trump derangement syndrome going on in Canada. The crossings have been shrinking, and the tariffs, especially, that definitely have an impact on that too. So this has been shrinking, and so we are relying on America completely, right? How do we fix this, right? How do we? So first off, we need to have a good military, which I don't know if the government can be trusted to have a good military when we're running huge deficits, as we've seen in the recent budgets that were given forward. And then also economically, we need pipelines, as discussed before. Carney was given a new pipeline. I saw it somewhere. Along with this pipeline, going for Alberta, right? I believe it was to the Pacific area. Correct me if I'm wrong, but regardless, it doesn't impact my statement where it's going. Because the true thing I'm trying to get at is less reliance on America, because we need to build ourselves up. We need to build ourselves up, and being reliant on America so much, especially in a situation like this, has really shown how bad it can be. Right, like having all of your eggs in one basket. You need to just spread it out, just as you do when you invest in like stocks or something. And so this pipeline is being put into Alberta, and I saw a thing from Pierre Poilievre's Instagram account. I follow him on Instagram. It got appeared in my feed about him talking about, oh, we're there, was it 6 times the amount of carbon tax or something like that? Don't quote me on that. That might not be what he was saying, but there was an increase in the carbon tax in response to allowing this pipeline. And I know for a fact it was being discussed, like a heavy criticism of this pipeline being opened is that the NDP leadership in British Columbia was given full power to veto it, on top of the long process going to take to even approve of this pipeline. So, like, they're Carney's getting all of his PR, all of his hoorah for Canada. Oh my god, Canada today. All of us hoorah for let's go Canada is less reliant on America. We're getting a pipeline, which mind you has been a big push by Pierre. Another, Carney stealing from Pierre's book, and then the liberals will always say, well, what has Pierre ever platformed? Well, here he is, bro. Carney's doing it for him. So you're like, hoorah! All of us less independence and less reliance on America for a Canadian economy. Yeah, that's great. But this is like a 2-year something approval, right? It's gonna have to go through. It's gonna have to go through the government bureaucracies. And what do you think your chances are of that? Because this is ultimately just like a public stunt, right? Because the NDP historically have sided with the liberals. Liberals have been blocking pipelines for a long time. What do you think's gonna happen, right? Even if it does go through all of the processes and gets through, the NDP holds the full power to just veto it. So like, what do you think is gonna happen? It's just a short term PR boost for Carney. People can say he's doing well with the economy, right? He's making us less reliant. Well, it's not actually happening. And so I think really it's all just a big distraction, a big liberal distraction. Trump derangement syndrome, the pipeline, all of it, the whole blame on America for all of the economic failings so far. It's all just a huge liberal distraction. Not even mention, let's mention the whole 51st state thing by Trump, right? Now, clearly Trump wants Mark Carney to win. He saw Mark Carney taking a heavy stance against Trump and everything. He saw the rising fear of tariffs and all that in response to Trump's victory in the election down there. And then you have Pierre Poilievre. He wanted to cooperate. Almost, I believe he wanted to cooperate with Donald Trump. He wanted to reach deals. He wanted to, because he saw some of the criticisms Trump was making. He saw some of those valid. He wanted to make deals, go forward. And Trump saw this person who was still critical of Trump. Obviously, Pierre is not going to bend over backwards or sell out like so many liberals like to claim. But he's a little less critical, more open to Trump. And then you have one who was appearing in face, because we've seen recently the whole red tie incident. I wore red for you from Mark Carney. He's not exactly critical of Trump as much as he would like to make out in his campaign. But you have one who is less critical of Trump, more open to deals, and you have one who's very much against it with all his very fiery language. And he sees that and he's like, oh, perfect, right? Let me start making threats against Canada. Let me get the one who although who appears to be very much against Canada, I know is gonna be such a pushover to me, who I can boss around, which he has been doing. He's been doing this for ever since Carney's gotten in, pretty much. Even before Prime Minister Carney was removing tariffs amidst the campaign, the election campaign. He's always been bending over backwards to Trump. And so he sees this person. This guy will bend over backwards for me. But the Canadians, they don't see it that way. They see it as someone who's gonna contest me, who's gonna be able to be strong against me. And so, hey, why don't I get Canadians riled up and make them feel like America's gonna be this huge threat? America's gonna invade them. America's gonna come guns blazing. They're gonna go to every house and shoot down our doors. And so let's get that going. Let's call them the 51st state. Let's make these 51st state threats. And then everyone like loses their minds more than they are already, right? Trump derangement syndrome. Excuse me. Trump derangement syndrome is massive, and you have all these people who are like, "Oh my God, Trump literally wants to come to my house and steal all my groceries. He wants us to be the 51st state. He hates all Canadians. He wants Canadians to die. He'd rather see Canadians die. He'd rather see Canadians die than something. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. But then actually you rile up all of these people to support Mark Carney, who's the more critical, more confrontational with Trump, apparently so, at least. And so, what do we get off from all of that? We have a prime minister who's failing on his promises to handle the tariff situation effectively, because, it's like almost I believe it's half the year now since the election. And what do we have? We have tariffs still that is driving investments out of the country. We have the youth unemployment crisis as a result of those fleeing investments. And so, what is there left for Mark Carney to do? Oh, well, get some hoopla going about a pipeline being built so we don't have to rely on the America. So, these tariffs won't even matter. But also, we don't want a pipeline, right? Because we don't want Canada to be a successful country. We don't actually want that. We just want to make it seem that way. Which, people might get mad at me for saying something like that, but I'd say personally, Carney has proven he doesn't align with Canadian values. He's just interested in his Brookfield assets and the World Economic Forum agenda, the New World Order. Conspiracy wing talk. If you know, you know. He's more interested in all of that. He has a reputation to uphold as a person who cares about Canada, is critical against Trump. We're going to become more independent from America. We're going to build a pipeline. It's going to be the greatest pipeline, the huge pipeline. They're going to tell you it's going to stretch across all of America. It's going to stretch through Alberta to the Pacific. We're going to get so much oil. We're going to have so much oil pumped out. Our country's going to be great again. Can make Canada great again. Oh, I have this. Oh, you got all these people screaming in my comment section last time about how they hate Pierre. Oh, you guys are going to love this hat. Yeah, okay. They're gonna make Canada great again. We're gonna have this pipeline. We're gonna be less reliant on America. It's gonna be the greatest thing ever. But then the pipeline takes 2 years, and the NDP can just fuck it over. Who cares, right? It's all gone. Nothing ever happens. It's all for nothing. It's Jover. It's Jover. Just a snap of the fingers. No one cares. It's all gone. And so Canada's still reliant on America. America, which, mind you, they have their. I'm not. I've been following America a lot. I watch some of their stuff because it is very important to Canada because we're relying on them, and plus they're just. We have to admit it. They're the center of the world. They're the most powerful nation. Definitely not Canada. We could be. Canada has amazing potential, right? We have so much natural resources and land. We have so much unused area. We could be one of the best countries in the world, if not the best. When it comes to economy and all that, maybe not military. We don't have such a huge population as is. Never mind all the maybe the quarter or so people of a population that is immigrants being coming. But so maybe not militarily. We might always rely on the U.S. for that, especially because they spend so much money on it. That's just what their thing, right? We might always rely on them for that. But we could certainly become an economic powerhouse with our natural resources. It's just for a decade, liberals have blocked this, right? And so we're still reliant on America. And do I see this changing in the future? No, not really. If maybe if we had an election and the Conservatives won a majority, possibly. I don't see that happening. But I think right now, I've kind of hinted at this. I've never explicitly said any of this. I believe in my previous video talking about the recent bills to censor the internet, like expand the definitions of hate speech, make it so you can strip internet access from people online with the deeming like certain services can't speak, deeming certain services vital, and just removing access such as internet to people they don't like, restricting the internet. They're clearly on some PR campaign right now to uphold their reputation, gain popularity, right? They want to control the narrative, and then there's been talks, right, about another election happening because of all the failings. I feel like with the direction they're going with these bills and their desire to censor and control the narrative, I feel like if another election were to happen, it might be a liberal majority. They're already trying to get it right now. They're trying to pressure conservatives across the floor. It already happened once. I made a video on that one. Go watch it. It didn't get a lot of views. You guys gotta watch these videos. You gotta support me. But so they're trying to have people cross the floor from the Conservative Party. I am at, and mind you, I would just say that's a bullshit thing right there too. I I don't remember if I made it clear enough how much I hate that. That's so much against democracy. You vote for this person, and then you vote for this person, and look, people like to say, okay, well, you're voting for the person, not the party in Canada. But I don't think most people see it that way, right? They see the person who is being supported by the party, and they know this person's gonna uh bring those parties' ideals to the table for their writing. And then this person decides, oh, never mind, actually, my ideals completely changed. I'm gonna go with the liberals instead of the conservatives who you voted me as. Like, where's the democratic prospects in that, right? That's not democratic values at all. Or Canadian values, even, I'd say Canadian, that's not even Canadian. It's absolute, like, treacherous activities. But, it's legal through loopholes because our system, our parliamentary monarchy is a flawed system. We need to remove the crown. We need to remove the crown. We need to Alberta needs to separate, and with the help of America, they need to conquer the rest of Canada and build it anew. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's a joke, but it's all just fucked up, man. And so where does this leave us? We leave it in nothing. It's really a nothing burger, actually. It's all just an extra attempt to make the liberals look better and salvage an image that should be falling apart but isn't because they censor the media and pay off the news. You have all these aging boomers who they're replacing with immigrants, which a majority of which don't share Canadian values or Canadian values or white culture or Christian values and morals. Most of them don't share this, which our nation's been built on. Our nation was built on Christianity and white culture, European culture, all this. Our country is built on this, and that most of our replacement being brought in doesn't follow this. And so when you have all these Asian boomers who are they grew up in such a much different time, right? They grew up in a time where like you're not questioning authority, you're not speaking out, sort of how I am now, how lots of my generation likes to go about things. It's a very different time for them, and so you have all these people who watch the news, which is paid for and bought out by the liberals, and they watch it and they just completely eat this up. They're like, chocolate cake, my belly, I'm so full of liberal media, and so they eat it up and then they believe it all. I know very little. Actually, I don't think I know any old people in my life who aren't anti-Trump, like complete Trump derangement syndrome, CBC heads. I've heard of them online, but none in my life actually. All the old people I know are like pro-liberal, love Carney, hate Pierre, all that. And so you have all these people. They completely bought into it, and they make up a good majority of our population. I believe our white population, because they're all concerned about when they die out, the economy is going to stagnate. They're replacing them with immigrants. That was the whole shebang. The whole reason it's happening is because of that. And so they're all convinced by this, and then they all vote liberal because they just eat the news, right? And the news is controlled. And so it leaves us in a predicament where because they're just doing PR campaign right now, they're trying to control the media, censor, because they're even going after online. Like I said, they're cutting internet to people, or they want to cut internet to people they don't like. Like they're even going after the online spaces now. So conservative Canadian media online will start being cracked down upon. But hey, quote unquote, allegedly. Hey, don't quote me on that one. It might not come true. Hey, any law enforcement officers watching, don't arrest me. I am not saying this is gonna happen. I am not a hateful person. I love the liberal government, and I think censorship of the and prioritization of Canadian media is a good thing. We should take away people's internet. I'm joking. And so, where's this heading? I truly think that if the Liberals get their way, there'll be another election soon, off of non-confidence of this budget and everything, right? And if things go according to plan, they may have a majority, which is a scary thing to think about. It's scarier than you're already winning last election, and all the potential fraud there was around there. Fraud, right? Hey, don't sue me. Don't kill me. Come kill me about it. But yeah, all that fraud that happened allegedly, it's shady stuff, right? And you control the narrative. I don't know how hopeful I would be of another election, because honestly, Pierre is not doing a good job at all. I feel of reaching voter bases. He reaches the youth, but the youth, especially like lots of the people he's reaching. I'm 18. I can vote now. I couldn't vote when the last federal election happened. I was still 17 years old. I was still a little baby. I'm still a little baby. I couldn't vote in the federal election. And most people who support Pierre are not old enough to vote. It's like he's got to expand, right? And then you have all these people who are like Alberta. Alberta loves Pierre and the Conservatives and all of them. And not I say this actually, but there's also the whole situation of these people who are calling out Pierre as a bad leader for the Conservatives. They're saying how his divisive leadership as the one member crosses the floor. And ever since I saw that, I never really saw complaints about Pierre being a bad conservative leader until these news articles and such started coming out. And that kind of tells me like who's buying into it, like who watches the news and who doesn't, right? Because if you were there during the campaign, which his campaign platform was completely gutted by Trump and the Liberals, like unfairly, I would say. But if you're there for the campaign, everyone was behind him because he was against Justin Trudeau, and then they took these drastic measures to remove Trudeau and give them buffers, give them time to buffer and rebuild their image and get everything in order. But he was probably gonna landslide if they didn't get away with all that. If they weren't able to shut down the government, remove Prime Minister Trudeau, put in Carney, and then completely remove the carbon tax, even though it's back right now under the industrial carbon tax, they completely removed it. So they removed one of his like biggest things he was riding on, which people don't give him credit on all this, right? Because he has all this platform. I saw in my last video I made all the people saying how I shouldn't be voting for Pierre. I should stop supporting him, right? Excuse me. And I don't think they fully watched the video because I don't even fully support Pierre. He's pro-Israel. I don't know his policy on guns fully, but I'd love to have more guns. I'd love to have castle doctrine. I believe he actually supports that. At least Daniel Smith does, I believe. I'd love to have castle doctrine. I'd love more gun ownership rights, because like the government is flawed, right? You need guns to defend yourself from a tyrannical government, and especially from home invaders. The grown rates of crime. I live in a big city, so, or not too big, but city nonetheless. So we need the guns to defend ourselves. I don't know his stance on guns, but I know he's pro-Israel. I'm heavily against Israel. I see their lobbying efforts in the United States of America, and I do not want anything similar for Canada. But if I have to choose between the People's Party of Canada, who's going to gain like 2 seats, not even be recognized as an official party, or Pierre, who supports a lot of things I support, but doesn't do all of it, then I'm gonna have to go with the one who will more likely to make a change. Even though my vote alone obviously doesn't make the whole world of difference, it's a thought that counts. I said it in the last video too. Though ideally, I would support the People's Party of Canada because they go the extra mile, right? But purple doesn't show up on any of the polls or anything. So what can you do about it? You got to deal with what you can. Get the Liberals out first and make it a conservative versus the People's Party thing, and then you can start talking about that. But we need to destroy what's currently going on first. And another thing too. I'm not even sure if Pierre and the Conservatives, especially other Conservatives, maybe Pierre be more standing against the Liberals and willing to actually make all these changes. But I'm not sure how many Conservatives, if we got like a majority government or anything, would actually be willing to go through and be fully like strong and firm in what they want to change and actually doing it, right? It's kind of like Trump down in America. He's all big on deport all the illegal immigrants. He doesn't do that. My personal opinion on the illegal immigration in America, if you come in illegally, you get deported. Don't care about anything else. You get deported. Same here in Canada. I don't think we have as big of a problem. It's definitely a problem, but it's not huge in America. It's not like tens of millions coming in like under Biden and all of them down there. But Trump down there, he's not firm enough. He's not strong. He doesn't put his actions where his mouth is. I'd say he does it. The ICE deports people, but they don't do it enough to the extent they need to be doing. Because you had tens of millions coming under Biden, and the Carsons have stopped, but those people need to get out, right? Because they're illegals. They're causing all sorts of problems in the country. They're a net drain. That's my opinion on illegal immigration in America. Come kill me over it. I know it might be an unpopular opinion for Canada. We're such a much more left leaning country than America. But I'm raised in a generation. I'm raised in the brain rot generation of Instagram Reels, and the generation who, from my experience, primarily speaking to people, is a lot more right leaning than previous generations. And I feel that's the future for Canada. As the boomers die out, the economy is going to stagnate even more than it already is. The economy is going to implode. We're all going to die. We're all going to starve in the streets like Stalinist Russia. We're all going to starve. We're going to go through Mao Zedong's fucking what was it, Cultural Revolution. We're all going to die. I'm joking. I'm joking, but the economy is going to implode. Here comes young people start rising in politics, and I feel like there's going to be a radical shift in the future. But will it be in time to save Canada and the white culture and white and Christianity in Canada? No, I don't think so. With the rate of immigration that's going on, we need to completely stop immigration and start kicking people out, all the people that we can. Because, it's a tough subject, the immigration in Canada, right? Because I'd love to say, all the immigrants we've brought in recently, kick them out. Get them all out. They're all gone. I'd love to say that, but, like, at the same time, they came here legally. Regardless if it's a flawed process or not, most of them aren't actually breaking any laws or doing anything wrong. The government's allowing them to get away with this. They're getting away with it in a legal manner. It's not like illegal immigrants where they broke the law to come in here and they're being defended by the government still, even though it's illegal. They're being coming on legal processes, even no matter how ridiculous it is, right? So I'd love to say deport them all, but we can't really do that. It's not entirely their fault, even if there are many other things like their complete disregard of our culture and everything that is their fault. That isn't. That's the part of the Canadian government that's at fault there. So I'd love to say that, but I don't think we really can. It's not really fair. I wouldn't say it's moral even to punish them for the government's own failings. But hey, if you ever get the chance, I wouldn't be too opposed to it. I'm joking, but I'm joking. I wouldn't. So what would we even do then? Like, we stop all immigration. Anyone who shouldn't be here, who doesn't need to be here. Like, if you're on a work visa and if you're working at Tim Hortons or something, if you're working at Slang Hortons on a work visa, you shouldn't be here. You should get deported, go back to India or Ukraine or wherever you came from, where all these refugees and all these immigrants come from. Because like, I don't even care if you're a poop G. It's just all the immigrants. Because people will say, "Oh, you hate immigrants. You hate all the Indians. You hate like all these. You're racist. You're a violent racist. You're hateful." I'm a really loving person. I'll describe it like that. But I'm tolerant, right? I'm tolerant of these people. I'm just not tolerant of their behaviors. And that's where I draw the line. Like, obviously you can't change the color of your skin. The standard racist talk, like the standard tolerance talk. You can't change the color of your skin. Don't judge people by the content of their skin. Like, oh, misquoting fucking my bro there. Misquoting my bro. You don't judge people by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. But like there's so many. It's so frequent, dude. You can't ignore it. It's pattern recognition. It's not racism. And so that's the future of Canada. I feel we're gonna get as these young people grow up, assuming there isn't some major shift in society, like stutter there, bro. Get it out, spit it out. They're assuming there isn't some major takeover of the media and like everyone's forced, like Nazi Germany, to have his opinion and just completely censored. Then, unless something like that happens, I feel like there's gonna be a large right wing shift in Canada, and things are gonna change rapidly in the future. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that day. But for now, though, that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching. Watch my previous episodes. Get subscribe to my channel. Get yourself a hat. I don't sell these hats. I have these from Amazon or wherever else. But speak out, make a change, and to get involved. That's all I have to say about that. See ya.